Hey, that doesn't look like the studio. Admiral Stockdale, who am I and why am I here? I want to say hello to some of you folks because you are here each and every day. For example, Jamal. Hello, Jamal. You're here every day. Thank you for that. Cynthia Christie is here. Sean Nichols, another name I recognize, is here. Kev Paul is here. Dave Hutton is here. Robert Goldstein is here. Tom Rogers is here. Another name that I recognize, Connie Fisher, is here. Madison Badger. Hello, hello. Like, you guys have this interaction between each other each and every day. Sean Nichols at Tammy Moran has a talking toothbrush. Ricky Malone is here. Alice Herrick is here. Hello, Alice. Bill Snyder is here. Corinne Kenny is here. Jay Semilak and Juan Hernandez and Pete Froelich and Steve Slattery. I'm here, but I can get a little snarky. You're speaking for the two of us. The boys' creative outfit are here. So listen, we have a bit of a shit show in the studio. We had technical issues yesterday during the course of the program, and they persisted today. Today, the internet is totally dead. So I am in a secret and secure location. Can you all hear me all right? Can I see some thumbs up before I get rolling here as to whether the audio quality is sufficient? Just give me a little sign of life. Cool. Okay. All good. Bob O'Shaughnessy and Marcy Wydrick. Marcy? Yeah. Okay. Look at you guys. All right. I get the message. Now to the business at hand. By the way, please, I think you have, if you're here, especially right at this moment, but make sure that you're subscribing to not only the newsletter, but also to the YouTube channel. We're putting a lot of time and effort into it. People who are here seem to really appreciate it, but subscribe to it and ring that bell so that you get the notifications. This is kind of funny. Our friends at BetPark Sportsbook and Casino app are responsible for this part of the presentation. I'm obligated to tell you that it is the conference championship weekend and that the winners advance to the big game. You know what I'm talking about, right? This is a very exciting weekend in pro football. And I'm really looking forward to, of course, Philadelphia hosting San Fran, Kansas City hosting Cincinnati. When we did a poll at Smerconish.com a couple of days ago, and then I compared it to the BetParks line, we totally lined up, meaning Philadelphia and Cincinnati most favored, followed by Kansas City and then San Francisco. And Philadelphia is crazy about this game coming up. The only thing that would have made the city more crazy would be if we were hosting Dallas. But as I often say, right here in the palm of my hand, I've got odds and bets and slots and all the stuff that you'd want to have. The stuff that you do for the big game, you could be doing for every Sunday and especially this Sunday. And there's no place better than BetPark's Sportsbook and Casino app, which is the only one that I recommend. Bet on more than just a score. Bet on player performances with live in-game betting. You can bet during the game. How about the fact that these four quarterbacks are all in their 20s? And the GOAT, Brady, is 45. Like, holy smokes. They are half his age. Join me and download the BetParks app and start playing instantly. Got to be 21 and in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. See betparks.com for the terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. Look, the poll question today, we had a wonderful conversation in the third hour of the program yesterday with my friend Rich Tao from Engageus about non-compete agreements. And it was really great. And I did go home and I did find the most recent non-compete that I had in my old terrestrial radio contract. it precluded me from having my voice heard for 6 months. For 6 months. And I signed it because like that was the deal. Like, oh, you're a broadcaster, you got a big show. We're paying you money to do a morning drive in the 4th largest market in the country. We don't want you going across town. So I rolled over like everybody else. I thought non-compete agreements were for people like me, television personalities or radio broadcasters. Now I'm realizing that there are 30 million Americans subject to non-compete agreements. It's a big deal, like 1 out of 5 workers. And now it's like security guards, retail clerks. Yesterday, I had a phone call on the program from a guy who said that as a gas station attendant in New Jersey, he was asked to sign a non-compete. So the FTC is imposing this rule to put an end to all of that. I almost made that the poll question of the day, but I didn't. Now, it had to be this. It had to be you. It had to be this. Should Trump be restored to Facebook and Instagram? I think that he should. I think that he should. He's a presidential candidate, and I want to hear what he has to say. And if he misbehaves, or I should say, if he misbehaves again, then give him the boot. The story is as follows. Facebook parent Meta said yesterday it'll restore former President Trump's personal account in the coming weeks, ending what has been a 2-year suspension. The company said in a blog post that it was adding new guardrails to ensure that there are no repeat offenders who violate its rules, even if they are political candidates or world leaders. Nick Clegg, Meta's vice president of global affairs, says the public should be able to hear what their politicians are saying, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that they can make informed choices at the ballot box. And I agree with that. A little reminder here. What did he say? What was the last thing that he said before he got booted? Twitter permanently banned President Donald Trump's personal account. By the way, he had 88.7 million followers. The last thing that he tweeted, quote, the 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America first, and make America great again, all caps, will have a giant voice long into the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form. That was at 9:46 a.m. Then this is all on the 6th. Then he tweeted at 10:44, to all of those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on the 20th. The social media company said that Trump's tweet about skipping the inauguration was further confirmation that the election was not legitimate, and his message to supporters was encouragement to those potentially considering violent acts. Mike Allen and the folks at Axios had a really good take on this. They said it's a moment of truth for Trump, meaning he's invested all this dough in Truth Social. So what's he going to do? Is he going to go back to Facebook and Instagram? Remember this, Facebook was not only a means of getting his message out, it was a great fundraising tool for Trump. By reinstating the former president's Facebook and Instagram accounts, Meta is pushing him to a moment of truth about his financially troubled social media app, Truth Social. Sarah Fisher writes this up. Trump raised hundreds of millions to create Truth Social after he was barred by a lot of platforms after January 6th. Now he has to decide whether he's going to stick to his new company or reap the benefits of diving onto Facebook and Instagram. Trump was invited back to Twitter in November, hasn't tweeted out of solidarity with Truth Social. So we don't know that he's necessarily going to do this, but he's now being invited back at some point in the near future on Facebook and Instagram, having also already been invited back to Twitter. So the opinions, as you can, everybody, think about it. Think about it like in the abstract, not just as a referendum on Donald Trump. Consider this. The ACLU is cheering Meta's decision. Here's what they said. This is the right call. Like it or not, President Trump is one of the country's leading political figures, and the public has a strong interest in hearing his speech. That's the ACLU. Jamil Jaffer is the executive director of the Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia. He called the reinstatement the right call, not because the former president has any right to be on the platform, but because the public has an interest in hearing directly from candidates for political office. That's my view. But the NAACP, Derek Johnson, blasted the decision as a prime example of putting profits above people's safety and called it a grave mistake. It's quite astonishing that one can spew hatred and fuel conspiracies and incite a violent insurrection at our nation's Capitol building, and Mark Zuckerberg still believes that it's not enough to remove someone from his platforms. Similarly, the ADL, during his presidency, this is the Anti-Defamation League. During his presidency, actually, I want to give you the full quote. This is CEO Jonathan Greenblatt. Since his role in the insurrection on January 6, 2021, we've been clear. Former President Trump should not be given a platform to amplify his hateful and violent rhetoric on mainstream social media. During his presidency, Trump used social media platforms such as Facebook to spread hate and incite violence. There's no reason to believe the former president will behave differently now that the platform has reversed his ban. This is not a matter of free speech. There are ample services that Trump can be using to spread his message. This is a business decision to platform bigotry and divisiveness to drive clicks and engagement, plain and simple. Go vote at Smerconish.com. Should Trump be restored to Facebook and to Instagram? That's the poll question of the day today. But don't just suit up in your partisan armor, because that's no fun. Yesterday, I was working and reading in and getting ready for today's program, and I was thrilled to see cameras in the courthouse in South Carolina for the Murdoch trial. That's how Valerie Borline from the Wall Street Journal pronounces his name, and like she owns this case, and she's been such a wonderful guest for us here on POTUS. What I thought was really remarkable about the opening statements is how argumentative they became. Meaning, not that they were arguing with one another, but I mean, an opening statement is a roadmap. It's an outline for the evidence that you expect to be able to present or have the other side present that you intend to respond to. It is not a time for persuasion. And these two lawyers were very impressive. Crichton Waters is the lead prosecutor. Dick Harpootlian is a state senator in South Carolina and a political force. He's the defense lawyer defending Murdoch. And here's just one example. I tweeted yesterday, I said, these opening statements in the Murdoch trial sound more like closings. I'm surprised by the amount of argument being offered without objection. And then I followed that up with an example. And I said, example, Harpootlian says, quote, much more likely there were two people. That is pure argument. Pure argument, pure speculation on his part. But he was able to drop that seed before the jury to already get them conditioned to think, wow, maybe there were two people involved in this murder. I'll give you another one. He said yesterday that defense lawyer, that he hopes to be able to take the jury on a field trip to the scene of the double murder. And it's not, as I understand it, it's not yet resolved by the court whether that will be the case. Well, if I'm a juror and we never get to go out there, I'm going to be sitting there saying, you know, the defense lawyer, he wanted us to see that. What was the prosecution hiding? The idea that that got in an opening statement was really surprising to me. Really surprising to me. Okay, how about this? I've said recently that I feel like I've been ahead of the curve on a number of things. Look at this chat GPT issue. I've got a story today posted at Smerconish.com about how a lawyer was going to, a litigant was going to go into a California courtroom relying entirely on Chat GPT to fight, I think it was a moving violation citation. And you know who went batshit? The lawyers. People are now coming to terms with the reach of Chat GPT and how many, we used to worry that the machines were going to put blue collar folks out of, I have to tweet this. This is actually a pretty good thought. We used to worry that the machines were going to put blue collar folks out of work. Now creativity is in danger. That's what I'm taking away from Chat GPT. Anyway, so there's that. How the hell did I get talking about that? I don't even know. But I want to make sure that I address this. I know. I was saying I was been ahead of the curve lately. I wanted to deliver a commentary on CNN in December. And I never got to deliver it on CNN, but I published it. Yes, there's a story. But I published it at Smerconish.com. And it's about the attack on Paul Pelosi. Today, the breaking news, footage of the attack on former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband will be released to the public after a judge ruled yesterday denying a prosecutor's request to keep it secret. Superior Court Judge Stephen Murray ruled there was no reason to keep the footage secret, especially after prosecutors played it in open court during a preliminary hearing last month. That was exactly my argument. If they showed it in court, we ought to be able to see it. And the commentary that I had intended to deliver on CNN, which I published on Smerconish.com, and which, by the way, I might deliver this Saturday, was a column and a commentary where I was saying Paul Pelosi was pretty heroic. Like, here's a guy who was subject to all that bullshit online from conspiracy theorists. Like, oh, he was in his underwear. In his underwear? You break into my house in the middle of the night and you're an intruder? You're going to greet a guy who's going commando. I mean, of course he was in his underwear. And then there was the thing, and he says he was his friend. No, that was a dispatcher who misunderstood what was going on. And when you break down what was in the public record without our seeing the body cam footage, without our hearing the 911, all of the calls, nevertheless, a really impressive picture emerged of Pelosi. Here's the commentary, and maybe I'll repost this in my social. I wrote in December, the more we learn about Paul Pelosi on the night he was attacked, the more impressive becomes the picture of his response. Not that it will silence the conspiracists, but maybe more public disclosure could. Let's hear the 911 call. Let's see the body cam footage. That's what I've advocated. Both came into evidence. God damn, I was so ahead of my time on this. Both came into evidence this week at a preliminary hearing where the attacker was ordered to stand trial on all charges. First, prosecutors played for the judge the 911 call made by Pelosi in the presence of the intruder. The audio has not been publicly released, but a transcript was published by the San Francisco TV station KRON. And by the way, when we were doing the research for me to deliver this, we had it confirmed by the prosecutors. Dispatcher says, "Who is this? Do you need help?" To which Pelosi responds, "There is a gentleman here waiting for my wife to come back. She's not going to be here for days, so I guess we will have to wait." Dispatcher, "Do you need police or fire?" Pelosi, "I don't think so. Is the Capitol Police around? They are usually here at the house protecting my wife." And I say, stop right there. The interaction shows Pelosi with a pretty amazing presence of mind. He's an octogenarian, having been startled awake in the middle of the night after a guy smashed the glass on his back door with a hammer and is now confronting him, wanting to know the whereabouts of his wife. He speaks in code. to the dispatcher. His words contain a number of tells, compensating for the fact that he can't just say, hey, I got a strange guy in my house with a hammer and I need help. So when the dispatcher next says, no, this is San Francisco police, Pelosi responds, no, I understand. Okay, well, what do you think? I've got a problem. But he says everything is good. The gentleman came into the house. Dispatcher, do you know who the person is? Pelosi, no, I don't know who he is. He told me not to do anything. And as I wrote at the time, you can almost see the dispatcher's ears perk up and eyebrows raise. In the transcript, he says he next speaks in, quote, a more urgent tone. What is your address, sir? What is your name? My name is Paul Pelosi. What's the gentleman's name? His name is David. Who is David? I don't know. And then the intruder takes the phone and says, I'm a friend of theirs. And it goes on and on and on. I'm really glad that we're going to see that footage and hear that tape. I'm sure it'll be embarrassing for the Pelosi's, and that's a shame. But man, that guy was so calm. Here's what I want to say. He had, it seems, such presence of mind. And I said on the show yesterday or the day before, this report from the Pelosi daughter that mom brought in priests to exorcise the house. Like, who could blame her? What could be worse than being violated in your personal space? So it's the right call, and I'm happy that it's going to happen. And my theory is that things that play themselves out in court, we have the right to see, like the Murdoch trial. And thank God there are cameras in that courtroom for us to watch what's going on. There ought to be cameras. I've articulated this here recently. Anywhere that you can pull up a chair and walk in as a citizen to see the citizen's business being done, there ought to be cameras. That's my view. Okay. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure you're subscribing to the Smerconish.com daily newsletter and the YouTube channel. Give TC some play with TC After Dark and vote on today's poll question, but not in your partisan armor. Should Donald Trump be restored to Facebook and Instagram? That's the poll question of the day at Smerconish.com. All right, how'd we do? Steve Slattery, Michael is selling hot takes today. What does that mean? What am I, a hot take? Am I selling hot? I don't even know what the hell that means. Jamal, yeah, see everybody. Is this like where you all say goodbye to one another? Robert R., showers fixed. Thanks, Michael. I don't know what that means. Hot take is a strong opinion, says Steve Slattery. Oh, okay. Steve, I do have a strong opinion about this Pelosi business. I think prosecutors wanted to protect their privacy, but I think the public has a right to know. And Paul Pelosi, I think, is going to be regarded well by the public. I don't know that I would have the presence of mind. Some guy breaks into your house and he's got zip ties and where's your wife and all that stuff. Like, holy crap, I have no idea how I'd react. Of course, the machismo in us, we say, well, I'd kick his ass or I'd shoot him we don't know. You don't know if you're a fight or flight person until you're in that position. Jamal, we start early and we continue chatting until YouTube kicks us out. Has Paul Pelosi done interviews yet, says Juan. No, not as far as I know. I'd love to. Michael, do you still want something with your Facebook insiders group? Yeah, what do you want to do? You want to go to breakfast and have coffee someday early? I mean, you seem to be a very early group. Jamal, you figure out how I could interact with the most loyal Facebook followers. Figure it out. Let's try and coordinate calendars and we'll do it. because the people who are here day after day, Susan Engel, we are a club. We're speaking in code. Okay, all right. I'll tell you what. I won't go any further. I'd be looking for my pants at 2 a.m. Yeah, exactly. Right. I won't go any further. Jamal, I hope that it's okay if I designate you as like the spokesperson. You put something together and let's do it. Let's definitely do it. I don't know how many of you there are. So let's figure out something that would be mutually conducive. Okay. I gotta sign off because I got a lot of technical issues going on here today. And I need to get focused on radio. Thanks. That was a lot of fun, right? We had a good time today, right? Okay. See you, gang.